Hey everyone, it's time again to recap the latest news from the solar PV industry, compiled by the American Solar Energy Society. I'm Jay Warmke with SolarPVTraining.com, and this is what's happening in the magical world of solar for the week of March 23rd. Several U.S. farmers and some nonprofit organizations filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration last Thursday, claiming that it is illegally withholding funding from the Department of Agriculture that was part of the Inflation Reduction Act. The USDA has withheld REAP grant funding as it conducts an agency-wide spending review, as well as money for conservation programs, as well as other farming programs that are administered through the IRA. The 5 farmers involved in the suit say that they were awarded grants through the USDA's REAP program, which is the Rural Electrification for America program, to install solar panels on their farms. The 3 nonprofit organizations say that they are being withheld funds that were handled through the Forest Service grants. The farmers argued that they've entered into contracts with solar panel installers and incurred expenses that they worry will not be recoverable if these funds are not unfrozen. And the nonprofit groups have claimed that they've had to furlough or lay off employees as a result of the freeze. The IRA included $18 billion in USDA funding within the program that primarily benefits farmers that are located in Republican districts. A recent analysis by the University of Illinois found that $12.5 billion of this funding allocation has yet to be spent, primarily in 6 states, Arkansas, California, Minnesota, Missouri, Mississippi, and Texas, which each alone stands to lose as much as $400 million if the money is not allocated. Now, Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins has said that the agency is beginning to unfreeze these funds and distribute them to farmers, although they would not say how much of the funding will be released, and they will not say what the timeline is for releasing those funds. The on-again, off-again saga of budget management within the Trump administration continues. 2 weeks ago, the Environmental Protection Agency terminated grant agreements worth $20 billion that were issued under a green bank program designed to finance clean energy and climate-friendly projects. The Climate United and 2 other groups, that's the Coalition for Green Capital and the Power Forward communities, argued that the freeze would not only prevent them from financing new projects, but might force them to lay off staff. They said that the allegations against them for mishandling the funds were completely unfounded. And they also claimed that the Trump administration was simply in breach of contract. Well, a federal judge agreed with them last Tuesday and blocked the Trump administration from terminating these grants that were awarded to these 3 climate groups, saying that the government's vague and unsubstantiated assertions of fraud are insufficient. The order by U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan prevents the EPA from ending the grant program. It also prevents them, Citibank, which is holding the funds for the EPA, from distributing them back to the government or to any other organization other than the ones that were initially awarded these funds. The nonprofits asked Judge Chutkan to order Citibank to unfreeze the funds, but she declined to do so. This order basically stays the status quo until the review of the funding is completed by the EPA. And some good news and some bad news on the climate front. First, the bad news. 2024 was the warmest year in the 175-year observational record, according to the World Meteorological Organization. The State of the Global Climate 2024 report pointed out that there was massive economic and social upheavals from extreme weather, and that the long-term impacts of record ocean heat and sea level rise will continue. The report stated that the world experienced 152 unprecedented and 297 unusual extreme weather events related to climate last year. The WMO defines an unprecedented weather event as those that are rare or unusual in terms of magnitude, location, timing, or extent, and which are worse than any ever recorded in a specific region. Topping the list of extreme events were heat waves with 137, followed by extreme rain and wet spells with 115, flooding 104, tropical cyclones 47, and drought with 44. In total, these events were linked to 1.1 million people injured, 1,700 deaths, and 824,500 people displaced. It reported that the number of people displaced by extreme climate events in 2024 was the highest annual number since 2008 when these records began. And the good news, according to new analysis by Carbon Brief, the United Kingdom's 2024 emissions fell 3.6% last year, making them the lowest level seen since 1872. The country's coal use was also the lowest it's been since the mid-1600s. The largest factor in emissions falling last year was a massive 54% drop in the UK's coal use in 2024. Now, this is the lowest since 1666, when the UK's capital city was engulfed in the Great Fire of London. Some of the major contributors to this reduction in coal were the closure of the country's last coal-fired power plant in Nottinghamshire, as well as Wales Port Talbot Steels Works, which was the UK's last coal-fired blast furnace. In almost a 40% increase in electric vehicles on the UK roads was another contributor to the reduction in carbon emissions, as well as above average temperatures. The electricity is now considered to be the cleanest it's ever been in the UK. Well, UK emissions are currently 54% lower than the 1990s levels. The country's gross domestic product has increased 84% since then. And that's the news from the solar industry for this week. We'll see you next week.